They say the fiercest beast is not the one with the sharpest teeth or the longest claws. The fiercest beast is the one that refuses to stay down when the world crushes it. The one that grows stronger each time it bleeds. The one that turns pain into raw, unstoppable power. That beast is you. Look in the mirror, beyond the skin, beyond the flesh. What stares back at you? A force of nature trapped in human form. A storm disguised as a man. Every man has this beast within. Few ever unleash it. Most fear what sleeps inside them. They build cages around their own power. They chain themselves. They become prisoners of comfort, slaves to fear, puppets to those who tell them to stay small. But not you. Not anymore. Your ancestors knew this truth. The Spartans understood it best. When asked why Spartans were feared above all warriors, King Leonidas didn't speak of weapons or tactics. His answer was brutally simple. All men fear time, but time fears the Spartans. Time fears those who refuse to be tamed. The beast mode isn't mindless rage. It's cold, calculated savagery aimed at one target, the obstacles blocking your path. It's the sacred fury that burns away weakness and doubt. It's the force that transforms broken men into legends. Remember when they told you to be reasonable, to lower your dreams to match what they called reality, to accept less than you deserve? That was them trying to cage the beast. They sensed your power and it terrified them. Small men always try to shrink giants. The beast cannot be contained by words. Opinions break against it like waves against stone. The beast doesn't argue. It acts. It doesn't threaten. It conquers. When Sparta's enemies demanded they surrender their weapons, the reply wasn't a speech. Just one word. Come. That's beast mode in its purest form. Let them come. Let them see what happens when they corner something untamable. Your body knows beast mode. It remembers. When your muscles scream during that final rep, when your lungs burn on that last mile, when every fiber begs you to quit but something primal inside refuses. That's the ancient memory awakening. Your body recalls what your mind forgot. You were born to overcome, born to endure, born to conquer. The beast within you has survived every disaster in your bloodline. Plagues, wars, famines, heartbreaks. Every ancestor who buckled under pressure, who surrendered to fear, who chose comfort over greatness. They don't exist in your blood. You carry only the survivors, the fighters, the beasts who refuse to yield. This power isn't new. It's the oldest force on Earth. Before civilization, before language, before tools. The raw will to push beyond limits, to resist destruction, to rise when nature demands you fall. This is the power that built empires and moved mountains. The world tries to domesticate this power. It tries to convince you that tameness equals goodness, that control comes from outside, not within. That your strength must be leashed, your ambitions caged, your hunger denied. These are chains made of lies. True control comes when you embrace what sleeps within you, when you stop fighting your own nature and instead direct it. Like a river that floods without direction, your power destroys when suppressed but creates when channeled. Beast mode isn't chaos, it's clarity. When you tap into it, distractions fall away. Doubt vanishes. Fear becomes fuel. The 1,000 voices that usually crowd your mind go silent. Only one voice remains, the voice of pure will saying, "Forward, no matter what, forward." The strongest prison isn't built with steel bars. It's built with thoughts, with limits you accepted without questioning, with fears you inherited but never examined, with doubts planted by those who benefit from your restraint. Break these bars. Your beast stirs when pushed to edges, when comfort ends and struggle begins, when the weight feels impossible to bear. The stunning sensation isn't weakness leaving the body, it's strength awakening. It's your true nature rising from the depths where society buried it. This awakening happens in stages. First comes the shock, the gasp of your comfortable self as it confronts true challenge. Then comes resistance, the part of you trained by society to retreat from pain. But then, if you persist, comes the transformation. The moment when something ancient and powerful rises through your blood, when your eyes sharpen, when time slows, when your senses heighten, when the voice in your head stops whining and starts commanding. This is the threshold that separates the extraordinary from the ordinary. Most back away when they reach this doorway. They feel the beast stirring and retreat in fear of their own power. They choose the familiar cage over the unknown freedom beyond it. Sparta's greatest weapon wasn't the spear or shield. It was the mindset. When Persian messengers reported that Spartan arrows would be so numerous they would block out the sun, the Spartan response was 4 simple words. Then we fight in shade. This is the beast mind. Finding advantage in disaster. Seeing opportunity where others see only doom. This mindset transforms everything it touches. The workout that breaks others merely warms you up. The setback that destroys others becomes your setup for comeback. The pain that makes others surrender becomes your trusted teacher. The obstacle that blocks their path becomes your stepping stone. The beast mind operates on a simple truth. Circumstances don't determine outcomes. Responses do. The same fire that melts butter forges steel. The difference isn't in the fire, but in what meets it. When adversity strikes and the beast awakens, you become the steel. Unmelting, unyielding, transformed by the very heat meant to destroy you. Every Spartan warrior understood this transformation wasn't optional. It was necessary. In their harsh training grounds, young boys learned early that comfort was the enemy of greatness. That ease was the adversary of excellence. That the path to unbreakable strength runs straight through things most avoid. Most men never access their full strength. They exist at half power their entire journey. They die with their best abilities locked away, untested, unused. They reach the end, wondering what might have been if they'd had the courage to unleash what was always inside them. The beast doesn't wonder. It knows. Ancient warriors understood a truth we've forgotten. Humans contain vastly more power than we typically use. Science proves this. Under extreme stress, mothers lift cars off trapped children. Ordinary people perform impossible feats when survival demands it. These aren't miracles. This is your natural state. The cage temporarily broken by necessity. Why wait for emergency to access your power? Why keep the beast caged until disaster forces its release? Unleash it on your terms. The beast transforms obstacles. What looks like an impossible wall to the caged mind becomes a stepping stone to the unleashed spirit. Problems that paralyze others become opportunities for greatness. The mountain that makes others turn back becomes your proving ground. When Xerxes demanded Sparta's surrender, King Leonidas didn't negotiate, he didn't plead. He answered with action that echoes through centuries. Molem Labe, come and take them. The beast doesn't bargain with obstacles. It doesn't fear opposition. It welcomes worthy challenges. Your greatest enemies aren't external. The real battle happens between your ears. The voice that whispers enough when you have more to give. The doubt that creeps in when victory demands just one more push. The fear that makes you settle for less than you're capable of becoming. These are the true chains. The beast breaks them all. It doesn't happen through wishful thinking. The beast awakens through confrontation, through deliberately seeking what's difficult, through running toward challenges that make others retreat, through staying when others leave, through rising when others remain fallen. Your comfort zone isn't a home, it's a prison disguised as safety. Beast mode means recognizing that pain isn't your enemy. Discomfort isn't a warning. They're the necessary fire that forges ordinary men into something unbreakable, something unstoppable, something worthy of the power sleeping in their blood. Look at nature. The oak tree grown in perfect conditions, sheltered from wind, given abundant water, protected from stress, snaps in the first storm. But the oak that grows on the mountainside, battered by gales, stretched towards scarce water, tested by constant pressure, this tree becomes unbreakable. Its roots dig deeper, its trunk grows thicker. Its very fiber transforms through resistance. You are this tree. The ultimate power isn't avoiding storms, it's becoming the kind of man storms fear to challenge. The beast doesn't pray for easier paths. It prays for stronger legs, sharper teeth, greater hunger. It knows that obstacles aren't blocking the way. They are the way. Each barrier overcome carves depth into your character. Each pain endured etches wisdom into your soul. Each struggle conquered writes your legend in the book of time. This truth reveals itself in nature constantly. The mighty oak isn't strengthened by gentle breezes, but by howling storms that force its roots deeper. The eagle's wings aren't strengthened by sitting in the nest, but by battling the gales that threaten to dash it against the rocks. The wolf's teeth aren't sharpened by eating berries, but by crushing bones when hunger claws at its belly. Your beast understands this primal wisdom. It recognizes that true strength isn't built in comfort, but in resistance. True power isn't found in avoiding challenges, but in consuming them as fuel. True growth doesn't come from staying safe, but from dancing on the edge where weakness burns away. The Spartans embodied this understanding in everything they built. Their training wasn't designed for comfort, but for transformation. Young warriors slept on hard ground, not soft beds. They trained hungry, not full. They practiced in bitter cold and scorching heat, not controlled temperatures. They understood the beast mode isn't activated by comfort, but by deliberate hardship. While others beg the mountain to shrink, the beast grows tall enough to step over it. Most never find their full potential because they're looking in the wrong direction. They search outside themselves in possessions, opinions, validation. But the untapped reservoir of power has always been within, in the primal depths, in the quiet certainty beneath the noise of civilization, in the iron will that refuses to be broken. In Sparta, mothers didn't tell their sons to come home with their shields or on them just to sound tough. They understood that true freedom comes from embracing the beast within, from refusing to be captured, controlled, or contained, even by fear of death itself. This is the gateway to your full power. The modern world teaches containment, control, restraint. It sells the lie that tameness equals value, that predictability equals worth, that smallness equals safety. The beast knows better. Your instincts remember what your mind forgot. You descend from survivors, from fighters, from those who stared into the abyss and made the abyss blink first. This heritage isn't found in history books. It's coded in your cells. It awakens when you push past reasonable limits. When you refuse to stop when stopping makes sense. When you choose one more step, one more try, one more round, when all logic says enough. Think about this truth. For thousands of generations, your bloodline survived impossible odds, ice ages, predators, plagues, wars, famines, natural disasters. Every ancestor in your direct line faced these terrors and emerged victorious. Not a single link in your ancestral chain broke under pressure. Not one surrendered when survival demanded more. Not one chose comfort over continuation. The weak links, the ones who gave up, the ones who chose ease over excellence, their bloodlines ended. Their genetic material doesn't flow through your veins. You aren't their descendant. You are the living embodiment of unbroken victory stretching back to the dawn of humanity. The beast within you carries this undefeated record in every cell. Spartans understood this ancestral power better than most. They didn't just train their bodies, they connected to their lineage. They didn't just memorize tactics, they channeled the collective strength of their bloodline. They knew that tapping into this ancient current multiplied their personal power beyond anything their individual muscles could generate alone. The beast doesn't speak much. Like the Spartans, it believes in brutal simplicity. Wasted words are wasted power. But when it does speak, mountains listen, obstacles move, impossibilities retreat. Feel that stirring in your chest when inspiration strikes, that fire in your blood when challenge appears, that clarity in your mind when danger approaches. These aren't random emotions. This is the beast awakening. This is your true nature rising. This is power that cannot be taught because it already exists within you. Waiting. Ready. Most go through their entire existence never knowing what sleeps inside them. They reach the end with their greatest gifts unwrapped, their deepest powers untapped, their fiercest abilities unused. They die with their best self still caged by fear, doubt, and imaginary limitations. Not you. Not anymore. The beast mode isn't something you create. It's something you uncover. Like the sculptor who doesn't add to the stone but removes everything that isn't the masterpiece. Your greatness isn't something you build. It's something you reveal by chipping away everything that isn't truly you. This uncovering happens layer by layer. First falls the social mask, the pleasing face you show to avoid conflict. Then crumbles the conditioning, the artificial limits placed on you by those who feared your full expression. Next dissolves the fear, the hesitation born not from wisdom but from untested assumptions. Finally, peels away the final barrier, the belief that you are small, limited, ordinary. What remains after this stripping away? The core, the essence, the undiluted force of nature that has always been your birthright. This isn't ego or arrogance, it's simply truth. The diamond doesn't boast about its hardness. The fire doesn't brag about its heat. The storm doesn't apologize for its power. These elements simply express their nature without reservation. The Spartans understood this principle of revealing rather than creating. Their training wasn't designed to add external skills, but to remove internal weaknesses. They didn't try to create artificial courage, but to strip away the unnatural fear that hides the courage already present in every human heart. Their famous phrase, "Come back with your shield or on it," wasn't creating something new, but revealing what was always there beneath civilization's comfortable veneer. Every impossible physical feat, every record broken, every barrier shattered throughout human history has simply revealed what was always possible. The 4-minute mile was scientifically impossible until Roger Bannister decided the scientists were wrong. The sound barrier was unbreakable until someone broke it. The limits that govern ordinary men are just suggestions to the unleashed beast. In ancient Sparta, they understood that comfort breeds weakness, that safety creates vulnerability, that the path to unbreakable strength runs directly through fire, not around it. When Persian ambassadors boasted about their countless arrows, the Spartan response wasn't fear, it was anticipation. Then we will fight in the shade. This is the beast mind, seeing advantage where others see only threat. Your greatest power comes when you stop trying to preserve yourself and start transforming yourself. When you stop asking, how can I stay safe, and start asking, how can I become unstoppable? The beast doesn't fear the fire, it becomes the fire. Remember, they can only cage what you allow them to contain. They can only control what you surrender. They can only limit what you agree to restrict. The beast makes no such agreements. Look at your hands. Really look at them. These same hands that now hold phones once held spears. These same fingers that now tap keyboards once pulled bowstrings. These same arms that now carry briefcases once carried shields. The beast hasn't forgotten. It remembers what you were before comfort made you forget. The path to unleashing this power isn't complicated. It's simple, brutally simple. Stop avoiding what's difficult. Stop running from what's painful. Stop fearing what's challenging. Instead, seek these things out. Welcome them. Embrace them as the necessary forge that transforms potential into reality. King Leonidas wasn't born a legend. He became one through embracing the beast within, through refusing to bow when bowing seemed reasonable, through choosing death over surrender, through making a stand that still echoes more than 2,000 years later. The beast doesn't fear death. It fears only dying without having truly lived. It fears reaching the end with its power still caged, its purpose still unfulfilled, its greatness still unexpressed. Break the cage, not tomorrow, not when conditions are perfect, not when you feel ready. Now, today, in this moment, the beast doesn't wait for permission. It doesn't need perfect circumstances. It needs only your decision to stop holding back what was always meant to be unleashed. This decision isn't complex, but it is profound. It's the moment you stop asking, what if I fail? And start asking, what if I unleash? It's when you shift from, what will they think? To, what am I capable of? It's the transition from, is this safe? To, is this worthy? This mental pivot changes everything that follows. The cage door was never locked from the outside. The key has always been in your hand. The chains that held you were forged in your mind and can be broken by your decision. Not a future decision planned for some perfect moment. Not a conditional decision dependent on outside approval. But an absolute decision made in this breath, this heartbeat, this instant of clarity. Spartan warriors made this decision daily. When faced with overwhelming odds at Thermopylae, they didn't wait for better circumstances or reinforcements. They decided, they acted, they unleashed. Their decision wasn't based on calculating odds of success, but on absolute commitment to their nature. The famous words Molin Labe, come and take them, weren't just defiance. They were declaration. The declaration of men who had decided to live unleashed. Even if that meant death, the world doesn't need more tame men. It doesn't need more contained spirits. It doesn't need more caged potential. The world needs men who have faced their inner beast and instead of taming it, learned to ride it. Men who have accessed the primal power that built civilizations and moved mountains. Look around. Our modern world drowns in hesitation and half measures. It's filled with those who start but don't finish, those who attempt but don't commit, those who begin but abandon when resistance appears. This epidemic of incompletion doesn't stem from lack of tools or resources. It comes from disconnection from the beast within, the force that pushes through when rational mind says retreat. History wasn't written by the reasonable. The great achievements that echo through time weren't produced by those who stayed within comfortable boundaries. The innovations that transformed human existence weren't created by those who avoided pain and challenge. They came from those who accessed beast mode when circumstances demanded great. The Spartan culture thrived, not because their men were born stronger, but because they refused to accept invisible limitations. They understood that exceptional achievement requires exceptional commitment. That breakthrough demands breakdown of old limits. That transcendence requires first transcending the common fear of unleashing what sleeps within. Men like you, when future generations speak of this time, let them say this was when you stopped asking for less weight and started demanding stronger shoulders. When you stopped begging for smoother paths and started forging more powerful legs. When you stopped hoping for gentler storms and started building an unshakable core. This is beast mode. Not mindless aggression, but focused intensity. Not blind rage, but channeled power. Not temporary emotion, but permanent transformation. The Spartans didn't waste words explaining their strength. They demonstrated it. They embodied it. They became it. Their legacy outlived their civilization, not because they spoke well, but because they understood the beast within and unleashed it when needed. Your legacy awaits the same decision. The cage door is unlocked. It always was. The beast isn't kept contained by external forces, but by internal hesitation, by doubt, by the comfortable lie that playing small keeps you safe. Step through. Embrace what you've always been beneath the layers of socialization and restraint. Feel the surge of power that comes not from fighting your nature, but from finally allowing it full expression. Remember, they cannot cage what refuses to be contained. They cannot control what refuses to be tamed. They cannot defeat what refuses to stay down. The beast is you. Unchained, unleashed, unstoppable. This truth extends beyond physical challenge. It transforms every domain it touches. The mind that embraces beast mode doesn't merely learn. It hungers for knowledge with primal intensity. It doesn't study to pass tests, but to master reality. It devours concepts others find difficult and digests them with ease because it approaches learning not as obligation, but as conquest. The spirit that embraces beast mode doesn't merely endure hardship, it transforms through it. While others are diminished by suffering, the unleashed spirit extracts wisdom from every pain. It metabolizes setback into strength. It absorbs loss and converts it to fuel for future victory. Nothing is wasted. Everything feeds the beast's growth. The will that embraces beast mode doesn't recognize final defeat. It may lose battles, but never surrenders the war. Temporary failure doesn't break its resolve, but tempers it. Like the Spartans who, when facing impossible odds, fought more fiercely rather than less, the unleashed will intensifies when challenged rather than weakens. The time for half measures and partial commitment has passed. The time for full expression is now. Not because it's easy, but because anything less is a waste of the power surging through your blood. In the words that echo from ancient Sparta, "Come and take it. The beast awaits your command." This command isn't spoken with the mouth, but with action. The beast doesn't respond to what you say, but to what you do. It awakens not to promises or plans, but to movement. To the moment you push beyond what feels possible. To the instant you continue when everything screams stop. to the decision to face what others flee. This awakening creates a new timeline for your existence. There will be before and after. Before you knew your true capacity, and after. Before you tasted your full power, and after. Before you broke the invisible chains, and after. This division isn't marked by date, but by decision. By the moment you stopped accepting what they told you was your limit, and started discovering what you're truly capable of becoming. The journey beyond this threshold isn't easy, but it is simple. Each day, each challenge, each moment of potential surrender becomes a choice. Retreat to the cage or advance with the beast. Choose restraint or choose release. Accept the story others wrote for you, or write your own in letters of fire and action. The Spartans made this choice with such consistency that it ceased being a choice and became identity. They didn't decide to be brave in each battle. Courage had become their nature. They didn't choose to endure in each hardship. Endurance had become their essence. This is the ultimate destination of beast mode, not a temporary state you enter, but a permanent transformation you undergo. Your beast awaits this transformation, not tomorrow, not when conditions improve, not when permission is granted. Now, here, in the next breath you take and the next action that follows it. Unleash what cannot be caged.